Hello YouTubers, this is my Sony bookshelf system, specifically a Sony stereo tuner ST-80F and a Sony integrated amplifier TA-88. I came across this about a year ago, in 2011. When I first saw it I thought, yep, it looks lovely, it would do very well on a bookshelf if it sounds good. I heard it and it just confirmed it for me, it sounds very good, and I snapped it up straight away. The size shouldn't fool anyone, it is a proper hi-fi system. I'll get to the specifics in a minute, but the looks I think are spot on. It strikes that balance between being a piece of vintage hi-fi, suiting a modern environment. This with an iPod dock would go very well in a bedroom or an office. The tuner component is based on the earlier ST-80 version, which looks very similar. Sony did a slight revision. They introduced a FET front end to the FM section and changed the name to ST-80F or 80F, and it carried on being very, very popular. I love the tuner dial on this unit. It's much more attractive than digital readout. The only problem with this tuner component is it needs a strong signal for it to do its thing. I live in an area where the signal isn't particularly strong. There aren't many tuners that come through my hands which can perform flawlessly. This one needs a good aerial, preferably powered, for it to do its thing. When I have it in my girlfriend's office, FM is problematic. AM is good, FM not quite so good. But you know, that's only half the tuner's fault, the other half is where I live. The TA-88 amplifier started manufacture in 1972. It has three inputs, one of which is a phono stage, which is good. I've had a couple of turntables going through it, and it sounds very good. It makes extensive use of DC coupling, and unlike its contemporaries at the time, there are no transformers or capacitors between the output transistors and the speakers. This has a desirable effect on the sound. When it comes to protection, there are one or two things you've got to look out for as a result of this. I'll get onto those in a minute. The concessions Sony made to size when making these things, supposedly the transformer is a bit on the small side, which manifests as bass roll-off. I haven't noticed that. This to me sounds plentiful in the bass area. The circuit for the amplifier section is again simple by considerations of the time, but today it's a good thing. People like that rather linear approach to amplifier design, their whole wire with gain ethos. So that's a plus, not a minus. The other supposed drawback to these amplifiers was that the transistors used were early designs and supposedly had some background hiss, but again I haven't noticed that. So bass roll off I haven't noticed, background hiss I haven't noticed, simple circuit a bonus. Other things to keep an eye out for if looking to buy one for yourself: because of the DC coupled output stage, there's no protection offered to the speakers other than these fuses here. So if you see the fuses have been replaced with a higher value than originally specified, or worse, bypassed completely with wire or tinfoil wrapped fuses, avoid. The blown fuses indicate there's a problem with the transistors, and because the transistors aren't being manufactured anymore, that's a hard problem to sort. Not impossible, but it's difficult, so much better to move on. One other issue is the speaker terminals here. The surrounding space for wire is little, there isn't much room for manoeuvring, and it's very easy to cross the terminal, make a short circuit with a strand. So be very careful when wiring up speaker cables. As a side note, this is not my normal speaker cable. I don't have anything this rubbish that I use normally. This is just for YouTube purposes. Other things to keep an eye out for when sourcing these for yourself: in the tuner, blown bulbs. I had to replace the bulb in there. Not particularly difficult. the cable here, the string for the tuning dial, that can be a problem to replace. I was lucky and this didn't need replacing, and it moves freely, so that was a box ticked for me when I bought it. Bonus points: it uses a standard IEC power cable socket and standard RCA terminals. Sony did manufacture some speakers to go along with this that were a good match visually. SS70s, I think. I don't have them, I've never come across them. I have some Mordaunt Short MS 3.10s instead, and they're a good pairing. They sound very good with this. It's interesting actually to have some modern components such as this and an MP3 player going through the vintage hi-fi. The sound is good as a result, but again, more of that later. And we're back, and they're all boxed up. I think they look rather handsome with the wooden boxes, and to give you an idea of the size, what's that, 13 centimetres across by 23 centimetres in height, so they are small, very